Hey guys, so today is a hopefully shortish video. I have been so movie heavy this year that it felt right to list some of my favourite movies to watch during Halloween season. Now I know this is a little short notice considering by the time this goes up we've probably only got like maybe 2 weeks left before Halloween, but I feel like some of these are Halloween classics you watch on the day and some of them are there to get you in the mood for Halloween. So I'm going to be going through family favourites, cult classics, underrated movies, as well as series worth binge watching during Halloween. So let's go. So we're going to start with family classics. I cannot talk about Halloween and family classics without talking about Hocus Pocus. It is the best, without a shadow of a doubt, #1 Halloween family movie legitimately ever. And the only one I feel like comes second to that is maybe Casper, but even that is just not as perfection as Hocus Pocus. It's fun and it's witchy and the costumes are awesome, the characters are great. It's so good. I'm seeing it with a live orchestra this year. I will every single year without fail watch it on Halloween, but this year is special. That has to be #1 without fucking fail. Like I said, next one is Casper. Obviously, I mean, I love Casper. I literally called my cat Casper because that's how much I loved that movie. It was, again, a cult classic, favourite family movie. I would put on, not even just during Halloween, but during other times of the year, whenever I saw it. Christina Ricci did such a good job. That almost like ride that she goes on to get into the basement is, we all wanted to ride on that, right? Next we have, oh my god, I haven't watched this during Halloween for quite a few years, but I watched it to start off my like Halloween movie journey this year, and it never disappoints. Even though this is a very 90s movie, this movie I feel like doesn't age, and that is Practical Magic. It is two sisters who are so connected, again, very witchy vibes, and I feel like the 90s-esque-ness of that movie really just fits Halloween so perfectly. I love everything about it, and honestly it hit different this year in a good way. We've talked a lot about witches, so just continuing on that journey, The Craft. That movie used to creep me out a little bit when I was younger. I mean, how many of us, when we went to a sleepover, tried to do the, I don't remember what it's called. Lights and feathers, stiff as a board. Lights and feathers, stiff as a board. We all did that, right? The ending part was just so creepy with all the bugs and the snakes and stuff. And the fact the other witches kind of lost their powers, but she was just so incredibly powerful. Something that's actually coming back to screen this year, which I'm pretty fucking excited about, is Beetlejuice. That is, again, I know it's like very 90s movies because, I mean, I grew up in the 90s, so of course a lot of these are going to be from my childhood. But I feel like that's such a good movie. Seeing Winona Ryder younger again is kind of jarring after seeing her in Stranger Things a little bit. But like, the costumes and the hair, you hate Beetlejuice, but I mean, he does have this incredible presence throughout the whole movie. They're actually meant to be bringing that movie back for a sequel. They did some filming in London earlier this year, so I think maybe they were going to try and get it out for October this year, but I assume now it's going to be maybe October next year. This one isn't technically a horror movie or like a Halloween movie, but it creeped me the fuck out when I was a kid, so I feel like I had to include it. Death Becomes Her. Meryl Streep and Goldie Hawn taking these potions to live forever, and then the stairs scene alone had me cringing the whole time as much as Saw does. And also seeing like Bruce Willis that young, again, very jarring. I feel like I had to mention it. Something a little bit more fun for kids, I feel like, is the Addams Family. I feel like they are the Halloween family that you immediately think of when you think of Halloween. The hand alone is so creepy. The shape that's just all hair. It's an incredible fucking movie. Just a couple more for the family one. I also want to mention Wizard of Oz 2. Again, I know this is not a horror movie. It's not a Halloween specific movie, but it creeped me the hell out when I was a kid. I feel like I haven't watched it since I was a kid. Those things with like the wheels, they were like big fucking spiders to me as a kid, and it immediately just creeped me out. There's just so many creepy things in that movie that I have to include it as like a Halloween family-esque movie. I mean, because Wizard of Oz is technically family, but Jesus Christ, if you want to give your kids nightmares. Okay, the last one I want to mention is Sleepy Hollow. I feel like even though this is maybe slightly an older movie, like for older audiences maybe, I mean, the blood is literally like bright orange almost. It's not realistic at all, and it's got some very creepy-esque parts as well, with like the heads coming out of the tree. But again, Christina Ricci, oh my god, she's so stunning. I mean, if Christina Ricci's in a Halloween-esque movie, you know it's going to be good. Clearly, because she's on like 3 of these. Addams Family, Casper, and now Sleepy Hollow. I just love the aesthetics of the whole world. Fight scenes with the Headless Horseman. Every time the Headless Horseman comes onto the screen, he has this incredible effect on the audience. Absolutely love Sleepy Hollow. It is a must for Halloween. Now, we're going to talk about some classics, some cult fucking classic horror movies. And I have to start, of course, with Halloween itself. Can we talk about Michael fucking Myers? That last movie just needs to not exist. Like, I didn't hate it at all. I thought Kills was worse, believe it or not. The Halloween 2018 would have been, I feel like I just have to pretend the other two just don't exist, because that would have been the perfect poem and ending for Michael Myers. But no, they had to fuck it up, and they now want to bring out a series. I'm sure it's meant to be really good because they've got some really incredible people to work on it, but I'm just worried they're gonna fuck it up like they fuck up everything else. And especially considering there's like 2 or 3 timelines now in the Halloween universe, so I can imagine the TV series is going to be yet another fucking timeline. But the original Halloween, it takes a while for it to get into it, but it's worth it. The amount of dread that it ends up creating, because you know something's going to happen, you just have no idea when it's going to happen. I honestly do think Halloween and Halloween 2018 are just really incredible Halloween movies to watch. And you don't even need to watch any of the others, honestly. Just those 2 by themselves, a great double watch. Oh, we cannot talk about Halloween movies without talking about, of course, Scream. Scream was one of my first horror movies I ever watched as a kid. I think it came out in like 1996 or 7 or something. 1996. So I was 6 when it came out, and I think I saw it when I was maybe like 11 or 12. That movie made me fall in love with horror movies. It's written so well from like the viewer's point of view. That's why Randy is such an amazing character and should not have got killed off. But I remember people saying about Drew Barrymore's death, like, came out of fucking nowhere, because she was all over the posters. You did not expect her to be killed like off so quickly. I feel like that movie, even though some parts are a little bit dated with like the phones and stuff like that, which is why the newer Scream movie in 2022 did a very good job with like the locking and unlocking of the thing. Like, that first scene was crazy good and really lived up to the hype of the original movie. Speaking of horror movies that aren't, I would say, particularly scary, just very cringeworthy, is Saw. All of the movies overall have had their ups and downs, but you cannot go wrong with the first and second movie. I don't think there's anything wrong with those movies. The only thing I will say, the second one where the guy is like covered, and this is even from fanatic fans have said that the trap was just, it was unsurvivable, where he had this tiny little candle, all of these numbers all over this friggin' walls, and it was covered in flammable material. Like, it was not fucking possible without like a lot of luck to have gotten out of that trap. Anyway, overall, I think that's one of the reasons why everyone is in love with the new Saw 10 movie. I do think it's really, really good. It gives you the perspective of how John Kramer sees getting back at these people, because you feel the same of like, he got wronged and they fucking deserve this. And that's how it feels whenever he sees all of these wrongs being done to anybody. So it gives you that kind of perspective, which I really, really like. It has a lot of cringe-worthy, oh my god moments, especially the brain trap. It was nuts. Like, again, how is that survivable? If you want to go see a horror movie for Halloween in cinemas, I would say Saw 10, but also we have Five Nights at Freddy's coming out at the end of the month, which I'm very excited about. Next I want to talk about is the Blair Witch Project. I forgot why this movie was so fucking tense when I was a kid. Again, this came out in the 90s or something. 1999, yeah. It was actually the first movie I ever bought, believe it or not. I forgot that people thought these characters were real people that had genuinely gone missing, because thanks to Dead Meat, the YouTube channel's called, but thanks to them, I remembered that there was a website with all of the original characters and showing these missing people, and that was the promotional part to the Blair Witch Project movie coming out, to the point that like the actors themselves, like their family members were like, oh my god, did you know that they're saying that you're missing? And they had to turn around and go, it's just promotion, don't worry about it. Because looking back at the movie, it does have some very tense moments and some points where you're like, I don't know what the fuck I'm looking at. But they filmed it in such a way that it put a lot of mental stress on the actors, which really comes through the movie. There is no script to that movie. It's all them like having these little notes given to each of them, and they have to bring these things up in conversation. They get like a character direction of what their character should be like overall, but it's up to them to create the dialogue, which was just an incredible way to create a movie, which is why it gives it such realism. And of course the ending of that movie, unforgettable. I feel like this series of movies is very slept on, and this is Night of the Living Dead, like Day of the Dead, all these kind of like original zombie movie. I'm not talking about like Brad Pitt movie, although it's good, you know, I did enjoy it, but I'm talking about Night of the Living Dead, especially the one, I think it's like 1987, 1990. This movie was just a few people in a house. Again, it gives you this like impending doom. It's a very 90s movie. This hasn't really got any special effects, still very like real effects. But I don't know, there's something I loved about it. Like the start of it, seeing them going to the cemetery to go like see a grave of someone, and then having these like people just attack them. And even the ending, like seeing them burn all these bodies, it was very new for its time. Nowadays, it doesn't really compare to, I imagine, a lot of movies. But there's something about, I feel like, the Night of the Living Dead movies, that they deserve their cult credit. There wouldn't be the zombie sort of Walking Dead-esque stuff without them. Okay, so this movie I haven't watched for about 15, maybe even to 20 years. That is because this movie for a long time triggered me, because it reminded me of an ex-boyfriend that I really, really, really didn't want to remember. But I saw clips of this on TikTok and got reminded of how much I adored this movie when I was younger, and that is The Crow. The Crow, the music, the revenge of Brandon Lee's character is poetry. There is something so, it's beautiful in a way. It's horrible that he passed away during the making of this movie. I really do kind of hate that, because it's just the last movie he ever filmed. Like, I remember when he's getting ready, you can only sort of see the shadow of his body, or his body in the shadow of his apartment as he's getting ready. I'm pretty sure that isn't Brandon Lee. Even the second, is it the City of Bones? Or City of the Dead? City of Angels. The other two aren't as good. The 1994 The Crow and 1996 City of Angels are the best. They're actually bringing out a new one with, and I was so against it until I saw Bill Skarsgård is going to be playing The Crow, and then I was like, okay, if I can trust anyone to not fuck this character up, it is going to be Bill Skarsgård, because I was worried who was going to take on Pennywise or him, and I was like, wait, really? And then of course he did the best job. I also want to talk about Final Destination. This movie series gave, especially the second one, gave a whole generation anxiety driving. The second you see a truck that has loads of logs on it, you are moving to a different lane, or you are getting off that fucking road, because it triggered every single one of us. Even though they're not Halloween movies, like they're just technically horror movies, it's such a binge-worthy series of movies, and the first two just do such an incredible job, especially the fifth one. I do like the ending of how it kind of wraps up into like the whole series, although they're talking about a new one. Like, people need to leave things alone and stop killing them until like they're completely and totally dead. Like later on, it gets almost caricature with the way that they create the characters. Like, I'm not gonna lie, the acting like gets worse and worse as you go through the series, but the first two, they never ever get old. Another movie that completely creeped me out when I was a kid, that I never finished until I became an adult and actually have the second one, but I just couldn't. When I was a kid, I could not get through Jeepers Creepers, especially considering I knew it was based on a real case. Like the start part where they're chased by a truck, like really, really crazy guy, and then they see him dump something down a pipe. That's real. That's a real fucking case. And I think that's what really creeped me out. Obviously he goes down the pipe and he sees like the bodies, all over the walls. Visually it's nuts. Like nowadays I can see they're all very, very, very fake, but when I was a kid, oh my god, I thought it was nuts. I was so creeped out by it. I physically couldn't watch it past that moment. And honestly, once you get past that moment, the rest of it is nowhere near as creepy. But that really scarred me when I was a kid. Okay, last couple I want to mention of classics before I get into new horrors as well as underrated movies. So, The Descent. That movie, I will never ever go through not that I like rock climb or anything anyway. You know for a fucking fact we'll never ever go looking somewhere that's never been explored before, because that movie was fucking nuts. Especially the ending. Thinking that she's out and she's free, and then actually she was dreaming it the whole time and she's still stuck. And the second one when they find her again, yeah, cave systems and blind cannibals. Oh my god. Okay, so this is again like I feel like a 90s movie, or is it an early 2000s movie? 1998. I swear, this is just me reliving my youth. But The Faculty, you have a young Josh Hartnett, and you have some other like really great actors, I feel like, in this that you see like dotted around other movies. Clea Duvall, Jordana Brewster, Salma Hayek, and of course Famke Janssen. Oh, BB Newright, Robert Patrick as well. Fuck, this is like a very and even Usher's in this. How did I forget that? Jon Stewart. I know him for so much else now. Elijah Wood. Like, this is a very John Abraham. You got some great people in this. The Alien meets high school. I don't know, there was just something about it. And the twists and turns that this takes where you feel like you can't trust anybody. I feel like we loved it when we were kids, but we kind of forgot about it. Of course, I need to talk about Silent Hill as well. It is, I feel like, the best video game to movie ever, because they perfectly captured the dread of Silent Hill games. That mist and the nurses and Pyramid Head as well. Oh my god. That movie did such a good fucking job. I feel like they're bringing out another Silent Hill movie, but I could be wrong. They're bringing out a lot of like movies from years ago. This may be an underrated movie, so apologies if I've got this in the wrong category. I'm going to put this in a classic because, again, it came out in the 90s. Oh, it's such an amazing movie. I feel like it's up there with The Crow, Interview with a Vampire, Kirsten Dunst, Brad Pitt, and Tom Cruise. Tom Cruise playing Beethoven after they thought he was dead.
Listen, Louis. There's life in these old heads still.
Never fails to fucking creep me out, and I love it. That moment in that movie, especially at the end as well, where you think it's all over, and then Tom Cruise's character wants to say his piece to the interviewer. Oh, it's so good. Right. New horrors that I feel like eventually are going to become fucking classics, or at least appreciated in their time now. Of course, I've already mentioned it. It Chapter 2, like I said, is a lot slower, and when I was watching Dead Meat's recap of the kill count for that, I realised it's because it has a lot of points where it slows down the momentum of the movie, which 100% is why I feel like it's not as good as the original. Pennywise is one of the only things you're going to remember from that movie. He is such an icon. He brings so much life every time you see him on the screen. The creepiness of seeing him, the balloons rise up and you see his face just completely drop and serious and then turn into a smile. I love him so much. It's the perfect sense of eeriness. I love him. And of course, you cannot forget the waving hand. A movie I feel like gets a lot of stick in some ways, but I think is my favourite horror movie, I feel like, of all time, is Cabin in the Woods. You have fucking everything in this movie. You have a cabin, you have the typical blonde girl and beefy guy, and then it completely fucking turns from the atypical Cabin in the Woods horror to this seeing every scary fucking character of any movie you can think of and seeing them all fight each other. I loved that movie. Okay, I feel like these series of movies, yes, they do get worse, but the first, second, and actually I would even say the third movies are pretty fucking good. I rewatched them last week. I actually think that they stand up for like a horror series with more freshness compared to others, and that's The Purge. I like that the first one centered around one family and whether they were willing to sacrifice a life to save themselves. I love the fact the second one you actually see what happens outside when everyone's hunting. I think they did a really, really good job with the progression. And then the third movie, the fact that it was a politician and the fact that they changed the rules specifically so that they could target this person. Fourth movie, which is called The First Purge, which is kind of confusing. I liked the idea of it, again, offering people money to stay on this island and just survive. They're basically in a cost of living crisis, and it gets people used to this idea. But they also put people there to incite violence, to make sure it wouldn't just be people hiding the whole time. Was it executed well? No, not particularly. And there's actually a Purge series as well. Haven't watched it because obviously after I saw that, I feel like you've killed this franchise now. So yeah, I still think the first three are really fucking good, especially the first two. Get Out. If we want to talk about creep factor, someone staring and having a tear running down their face and then shouting "Get out" to you because they're trying to save you, because they've literally brainwashed these fucking people, is terrifying. Again, the ending of it was so perfect. I thought they were going to fuck it up and have like a Uno reverse card of like, hey, you thought you were going to get away, but actually, fuck you. I thought they were going to have that for a minute, but no, you actually get a very satisfying ending. That I feel like is going to become, if not has already become, a complete cult classic movie of these times. Okay, I'm not going to talk about these two very much. If you want to see my full thoughts on these two, go watch my video linked here. I talked about it when I was reviewing all the movies I'd watched for this year. Megan and Evil Dead Rise. Evil Dead Rise is my second favourite movie of the whole entire year so far. So you know it's fucking good. And Megan, I think, is a very creepy, robotic horror movie character that I feel like doesn't get enough love. If you want to see what my full thoughts are, go watch that video. I'm going to rattle through these ones because I have a long list of underrated movies. So I'm just going to kind of give you one or two sentences for each. First underrated movie, Happy Death Day. Continuously has like Groundhog Day where they need to find who's killing them every single day. It was a very fresh idea for a horror movie franchise. Buffy the Vampire Slayer, the original from the 90s. It's not a horror movie at all. It's a very laughable vampire movie. Like, it leans into the funny side. Hansel and Gretel. I love the premise of this movie. Still love it to this day. One of my top 20 or top 30 movies. Does not get enough love. And I feel like the whole aesthetic of the movie do not get enough fucking love. Daybreakers. If you like vampire movies, you will love Daybreakers. It is a turn on vampires having so much food to humans have become the minority, and now vampires are starving to death. Has Willem Dafoe in it. Go watch it. The Mist. The Mist series, not bad. The Mist movie, great. The spider scenes are fucking nuts. All the spiders coming out of the bodies and stuff. The webbing being like acid on your skin. The ending of that movie. The massiveness of those creatures. And then the sadness. The truly, oh my god, of the ending. If you want a happy ending movie, this is not the movie to watch, but it's still good. Donnie Darko. This is like again, a very 90s classic movie. But it's almost like a thought experiment. What if isms? Of course, it has like a huge blue rabbit. Worth watching if you've got a spare afternoon. Let Me In. I know the original is Let the Right One In. I haven't watched that because I don't always want to read subtitles. Let Me In is having a child as a vampire. Again, so that's sort of like Interview with the Vampire, child never getting to grow up. This is not a horror movie, but considering how desolate it is in a way, I don't know why people don't remember this movie. The Hole. It is 4 teenagers stuck and starving to death in a hole. When you find out the real story to it, is a manipulative teen who was willing to sacrifice her friends, and it is not talked about enough. It's a very, very good movie. American Psycho, I mean, do I need to? It has so many good moments, but of course the killing of Jared Leto's character is top notch. And dropping the chainsaw down the stairwell as well. Okay, From Dusk Till Dawn. This series, I actually really like the first two series. I thought they were really, really good. Obviously, the movie itself, I think, is one of the reasons I don't like everything that Quentin Tarantino has said or done, don't get me wrong, but I do think of his movies are like very, very, very good. Kill Bill being one of the best movies ever. And Django Unchained as well. I think that's like my full favourite movie of all time. I've like listed all my movies. From Dusk Till Dawn. George Clooney with tattoos all the way down his arm. That's why he became a sex symbol, I swear. Underworld. If you like vampire movies, but if you also like werewolf movies, and Kate Beckinsale in leather, you need to watch these movies. Okay, some thought experiment ones, which are more like tense than scary. Belko Experiment, just watched it recently. I think it's a very interesting horror movie, and it's very similar in a way to Circle. If you haven't watched either of those movies, I do suggest them if you like more thriller, dramatic kind of ones. Would you rather people around a table having to play games and being killed off until the last one wins? And then Stepfather being someone who kills the family he's living with and consistently just changing his name and his appearance and going to the next town and the next town and the next town. Two more things I want to share with you is my recommended movies without even seeing them. I haven't seen these, but I know for a fact they're going to be incredible fucking movies, and they're on my list of movies to watch, but because I'm currently rewatching obviously a lot of my list, I haven't actually got to these yet. But Black Phone, I actually was going to pick up the book. There was a book in Waterstones of it, and I was like, do I watch the movie first or do I read the book? I just stopped myself from picking up the book. Looks super, super fucking creepy, and I loved the look of the trailer. Smile, same thing, although I do hear mixed reviews of that one. Ready or Not, again, being hunted. Terrifier, apparently and there's a second one as well, which apparently is possibly even scarier. Like, one of the most terrifying movies. If you like clown sort of things that are really, really creepy, you will love Terrifier, I feel like. I'm, at the moment, too fucking terrified to watch it, especially by myself. I feel like I need to be huddled up next to someone, like, there to protect me. And then Talk to Me. I wanted to watch this in cinema because it came out earlier this year, but I didn't get a chance to watch it. I watched it onto small screenings really, really quickly, unfortunately. But I know from Jeremy John's review of that, I know that is going to be a cult movie, and I think they're already talking about a new one. Okay, so last thing I want to go through is series to binge watch. So I've already spoken about The Mist, worth watching. Maybe not prioritising during Halloween, but it is a good series if you like those kind of things. Walking Dead, I would say like at least the first 3 seasons are top notch, and then it kind of goes, it has its hits and its misses. Of course, I did a whole video about Supernatural. There are 15 seasons, of course. I'm not expecting you to go through all these seasons. If you like binge watching series, these are ones I would suggest. I will leave my video linked for Supernatural if you're interested. Stranger Things, there's only 4 seasons. I haven't even fucking seen 3rd or 4th one, but I mean, I know they're meant to be incredible and meant to get better and better and better, and I've already seen the first 2 and they were so good. Charmed, if you like witchy things, again, 90s classic. Charmed, of course. Buffy, kick-ass female, I had to mention her. Lastly, of course, I haven't actually seen this yet because I've been putting it off, because when things are so over fucking hyped, I'm like, my expectations are way higher, and I feel like I'm going to be disappointed, so I have to wait until the hype has completely died down to watch it. But Wednesday is on my list to eventually watch, and if you haven't watched it, or if you have watched it, it's probably worth re-binging because I've heard it's incredible. I just turned my camera off and realised that I didn't talk about the Scream series. If you like Scream, like I do, the first 2 seasons of the Scream series are incredible, and if you want to see an influencer get killed in the first episode, it's worth it. So I really enjoy the characters. I think they did a really good job, and I especially think that they did a good job creating a new mask for the Scream series. So yeah, I wanted to mention that one before I go. I hope you guys like this video. Those are a lot of the movies that I'm going to be watching this month. If not, I have watched quite a few, but I'm slowly getting through my list. And like I say, ones I have not yet watched, like Black Phone and Smile, Ready or Not, all those kind of ones, I am looking to try and watch before the end of this month. I hope you guys like this video. If you did, make sure to give us a like and subscribe if you like it. I'd really appreciate it. If there are any movies you want me to review, let me know in a comment below. I hope you guys enjoyed, and I hope to see you on the next one. Bye!